Greetings and welcome to this latest installation of the Senturus Knowledge Series. Today, we're pleased to be presenting to you on the topic of Power BI Report Builder and Paginated Reports. Our topics today will include the challenges of report authoring, talk about what are paginated reports, data sources and paginated reporting, building a paginated report, static versus interactive reporting, publishing reports, and report builder licensing. And we'll cap it all off with a couple of demos on creating a paginated report. Our overall agenda, we'll do some quick introductions, and then we'll get into the heart of the presentation and the demos. At the end, we'll do a brief Senturus overview for those of you who may not be familiar with what we do here at Senturus, along with some great additional resources and the aforementioned Q&A. So real quick, we have some introductions here. I'm joined by Patrick Powers. Patrick has 20 years of experience in BI and data analytics. He's one of our trainers delivering classes on Power BI, Tableau, and Cognos. And he possesses many certifications, including multiple programming languages, Java, C++, and database certification on MS SQL. He's also one of our Power BI gurus. My name is Mike Weinhauer. I'm a director here at Senturus. Among my roles, I have the pleasure of emceeing our Knowledge Series events. Before we get into the presentation, we always like to get a finger on the pulse of what our audience is doing or using. Our first poll today is, how do you deliver reporting today? It's a single selection question. Do you do data dumps, i.e. table-based quote-unquote reports? Do you duplicate existing Excel spreadsheets? Have you built highly interactive dashboards? Have you implemented self-service report authoring, or some combination of all of the above? Okay, we're at about 3/4 here. I'm going to close that out and share it. Not too surprising, the vast majority here doing some combination of all of those. A lot of Excel spreadsheets, fair bit of highly interactive reports, but mostly a combination. All right, and then we have a second poll today. What type of licensing are you using at your organization with regards to Power BI? Are you just using and you can check all that apply here. Are you just using the free download of Power BI Desktop? Have you upgraded to Power BI Pro, or is your organization using Premium or Premium per user, or are you not using Power BI presently? All right, well, we've got about 80% here, and everyone's kind of gotten their voice heard. So we'll share this out. So kind of evenly split there between desktop and pro, and then a good, almost third going premium, or and then 20% or so premium per user, and about 20% not using Power BI. So it seems like about the right distribution there. Great. Well, thank you for sharing your situation with us. We always appreciate understanding our audience a little better. And with that, I'm going to hand the floor and the microphone over to Mr. Powers. Patrick, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see some names in there, people I know. You just show up because you hear that I'm doing a class, right? Lie to me. Tell me that you're just here for me. So, what are we going to do today? Let's start out by talking about the challenges of report authoring. Too often, and you guys said this in the poll, too often people want us to recreate what they're already used to using, right? We always hear, well, that's the way we've always done it. And that's what people want. People want to be happy. People want something they're used to. One of the fundamental truths of report delivery is give the people what they want. And even though what they want may not be what they need. So sometimes we have to figure out, how do I replicate this Excel spreadsheet, this paper form, all these things that have been in your business for 30, 40, 50 years. And we've been publishing invoices like this since my grandfather owned the company. Well, congratulations. Modern tools, however, are not geared for that, are they? Modern tools are now focusing on visualizations. Hey, look at this cool bar chart you can do. Look at this word cloud. Look at all this. Well, how do you put that onto an invoice? How do you put that into a different scenario? So you find yourself with a challenge. So what do? Hey, look at this. This is beautiful. I mean, minus the Microsoft color scheme, this is beautiful, right? But this doesn't work for everybody. This doesn't work for certain needs. It's too graphical. This is a modern look at data. And that's okay. Well, welcome to Paginated Reports, or SSRS with a new interface. Okay. Yes, for those of you who have been thinking that, gosh, this looks like really something familiar, it should. But paginated reports, they're designed to be printed or shared. They're called paginated because they're formatted to fit well on a page, to replicate a page, to display data in a table. They're also known as pixel perfect. And this is one of the, what the heck happened there? This is one of the challenges of using this tool. And this is something that some of you are going to have to kind of pause and think about. Is this the right path for me? Because we are looking to make pixel perfect types of layout. Everything's wonderfully aligned. Look at that green bar reporting style. You can take this, you can print it out, you can mail it off to a customer. You're all set. But that doesn't happen automatically. There's still work that has to be done. To do all this, we use Power BI Report Builder. It is a standalone tool. Okay? Please be aware that this is a standalone tool. The expectation is that you're using it in conjunction with Power BI, but it can be downloaded right now, and you could go ahead and you could use it just today without anything else, so that 19% of you that are currently not using Power BI, heck, you could download this and you'd be on your way. And you'd be on your way to building some nice pixel perfect printable reports. Wow, say that 10 times fast. Pixel perfect presentable reports. Why would you use this? It can solve many problems for an organization. Primary thought process for most folks is, hey, I'm going to use this to print out. I'm going to use this to share hard copies. I'm going to use this as an alternative to doing things in Excel, which is great. But wait, there's more. Beyond just doing that in a traditional way. These are good things to put up on kiosks, or when you have reports with non-standard layouts. Because again, pixel perfect means that you can put a box anywhere you want. You can put things, any tab, any indent, anything, any way you want. Again, if that takes you back to the olden days of report building, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it didn't still work, it wouldn't still be here. Another good use for a lot of folks is public distribution. This is a great way to get data out to the masses in a PDF type of format that people, again, might be printing or sharing. But here, let's take a look at an example of that. Here is an example that is published out by University of Michigan. This is a public document. It's their budget document. And this is the kind of thing that people would use this for: summary information, publicly shared data, financial reporting. And look at how wonderful that is. Wonderful in the sense that it's easy to read, that it's well laid out, it's well organized, it's nicely indented. This would print and be shareable in a beautiful way, and it's going to make everybody in your organization happy. It's even going to make that person who's been here since the 1970s happy. Hey, look at that. It's wonderful. Now, some of the advantages here. Single paginated report can have multiple different data sources. We don't necessarily have an underlying data model necessarily, whereas in Power BI, we need an underlying data model. For the initial release, now mind you, this is semi-new in terms of being report builder, not technology, but in terms of the tool itself, it's semi-new. So there's some things still that you can and can't do. For the initial release, you can create your own embedded data source, which is what I'm going to do today, or you can use data sets that have been published. The reports are created locally. This means you need to think about the data set you're using. You're not necessarily going to connect up to a database and bring in 1,000 tables and 10 million rows of data because you're doing this locally. Okay? So you want to be careful with that, especially when we start running and we start putting things into cache. If we're connecting to on-premise data, after you upload, you do need to create a gateway and redirect the connection. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Currently, these are the data sources that you can use. This information is from Microsoft, and this is current as of April. I believe April 4th was the last time they published this. So, hey, if they've changed anything in the last couple of days, it's news to me. But these are the data sources that we can use. So we can use an Azure data source. We can use analysis services. We've got SQL Server directly, Power BI data sets, which is probably what a lot of you are going to do. That 45% with Power BI Pro and the 29% with Power BI Premium. This is more in your world, in your realm. Then, of course, we've got standard databases like Oracle and Teradata. And we can get the ball rolling. How do we build these? We've got some options. Now, I know that I've been saying it's pixel perfect, it's meant for printing, it's meant for sharing, yada, yada. That doesn't mean that it's non-graphical. You can still have things like this, where I've got basically a scorecard style report, where I've got some spark lines in here, I've got some nice bars going on. But again, it's the layout. Look at the borders. Look at the columns. Look at the bolding. Okay, so we can have matrix style reports. We can have charts. We can also have freeform. The easiest way to jump into this is to start with the wizard. The wizard lets you walk through this, building tables, matrix, charts, etc. Once we have the data on the page, then we start dragging and dropping fields, we select layouts, and we start customizing. So we can use the wizard to help us get the data we need, and then we go to work on putting it all together. No questions yet, which is surprising, but you know, so far so good, I've taken it. There's also a map wizard. You can have maps on here. Maps can be spatial data from SQL queries. They can be Esri shape files. And, you know, as we all use, you can bring in Microsoft Bing Maps. Now, remember, this isn't necessarily interactive reporting. The primary goal is to replicate something that would be looked at on a page. So there are some limitations as far as what we can and cannot do. We cannot define drill throughs. Can't have document maps. Can't be pinned to a dashboard. Okay. It can, however, be subscribed to, and it can be exported 73 different ways. All right, 8, but close enough. We can dump this out as HTML, MHTML, PDF, etc. And notice that most of these are distribution style methods, especially things like the PDF, the Word, Excel. We send them out. How do we publish one of these? I just said that they're created local. Okay. How do I publish this? You can use your deployment pipeline, and this lets you move it through your 3 stages. Okay. A couple questions come through before I move on to the next slide. I don't know the answer on the map layer, but yes, it can definitely have a page number. As a matter of fact, we're going to be adding one in our demo. Okay. So there was a question about, can it have a page number? Absolutely. There was also a question about a map layer coming from a KML file. That I don't know, and hopefully somebody who's on here might be able to handle it. Another question about security. Yes, you can have security. You can have row-level security in here. There are ways to handle things like that. Okay? So I'm going to keep going here. Let somebody else take a look at the questions for a minute. When we go to publish, we do need a Power BI premium user license, a per user premium license. Without a pro license, you can only publish to my workspace, but if you want to do it in other workspaces, you've got to have a Power BI premium per user license. This is available on P1 to P3. And you can also use it with A4 to A6 for embedded or test and dev scenarios. Okay? And with that, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look. Now, I've already got mine open, and what we're going to do is I'm going to connect to a data source. I'm going to design a layout. I'm going to show you how to add things to that layout, and then I'm going to hopefully, assuming my license is working today, I'm going to show you how to publish. All right, so we'll see that. We'll see what a workspace looks like, and I'll publish it. Okay. Where am I? Now I've already started it up, and I'm already at the wizard. Look at that. Look at how fancy this is. Yeah, fancy. I'm going to go through a table or matrix wizard. I'm just going to start with that. And obviously the first thing it wants me to do is pick a data set. Well, I don't have any data sets, so I'm going to create one. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be using a local SQL connection for this. I have SQL Server running on this machine. I'm going to be connecting up to a local SQL Server. Okay. If I was connected up to, if there were any published data sets out in my workspaces I could use, I could browse for those. But I'm going to go straight in. I'm going to create a new connection. Connection type is SQL Server. Now, everybody, cross your fingers, say what you want to say. Let's make sure the demo deities that be are with me and that my SQL Server has no issues. So, because that's always a fun thing, especially when you got 160 people listening to you. Look at what I'm using. Somebody out there is getting a chuckle. I'm going to be using Go Sales data today. And the reason I'm using Go Sales is that there's something you need to think about See, I knew I'd get somebody to chuckle. So the one thing you need to think about when you're connecting to a database like this, you don't need to bring over only the fields you want to display. You need to bring over any associated tables. Okay? You need to bring over anything that might be needed for a join. Think about that. All right, I'm going to do OK. And I'm just going to make sure things are good here. Yay! Thank goodness. Now I've got my connection. There it is. And oh look, there it is. There's all my tables, my schemas available to me. I can bring this out. This looks exactly the same as what I would see in here. Okay. Absolutely no differences between those two. What if you already had SQL written? What if you already were doing this as a data dump? If you were doing this as CSV so that you put it out on an FTP or something? Well, guess what? I can import in. So I can import in an existing SQL or RDL file, or I can literally copy and paste. Okay? I can do it as straight text. And for those of you who really want to get fancy, I can copy in a stored proc. So if you wanted to do and leverage something you already have, you can copy and paste that SQL in right here. Now that is probably a time saver for quite a few of you. That's probably something that just got a bunch of you excited and interested. I don't have to rewrite this now. For those of us who are not as fortunate, we're going to take it in manually. Okay. We're going to take it in manually. Now I'm going to bring in a whole lot of tables. First, I'm going to start with branch. Notice that when I hover over branch, it's telling me, hey, if you want to use this table, here are potentially related tables that you're going to also need to bring in for join purposes. Okay. Also, you'll see that it brought in the whole table, but I don't need all of these fields. We just need enough, again, to stress it one more time, we need enough for the joins and what I'm going to put on the report itself. So if I go to country and I expand out country, I don't need everything in country. Right? I just need those three fields. And I'm going to bring in a few more here. Now I'm going to be a little lazy. I'm just going to check them. I think that's, what else am I missing? I'm missing my sales region and my time dimension. Okay. And from this schema, I'm going to bring in employee. And from this schema, retailer, retailer site, retailer type. I would encourage you to go through and delete stuff you don't need, not because it's going to necessarily impact the performance or anything along those lines. It will just make it easier for you. It'll make it easier when you're trying to find the fields you're looking for, because this is going to display this as a flat set of tables, and I just blew out something I shouldn't have. That's where we got to be very careful, isn't it? We don't want to blow out things we don't mean to. Check, 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 check. Yep, got rid of that. Need to bring that back in. Okay. So be careful when you're, don't get overexcited and start deleting things. But as you see, it was not difficult for me to bring back the field that I needed. It did, however, put that field down the bottom. So that's a little bit of a, gosh golly, I got to remember that it's down the bottom now. I think that's about all I want to get rid of here for now. Nope, got a couple more. Aye. As I already mentioned, this is very old school. Okay? This is very old school. A lot of manual work, a lot of things you need to do on your own. One thing that it does attempt to do is it attempts to auto-detect relationships. So that's pretty good. Okay? When I go to hit next, I brought in two tables that are not connected to anything. The time dimension and employee. They're not connected. It was unable to auto-detect any relationship between these two tables and the rest of my tables. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn off auto-detect. Notice this little arrow right here. Am I going to zoom? I can go ahead and I can bring that in, expand that out. I can collapse this for a moment to give me some more room. Collapse that to give me some more room. Here are the relationships that it found. These are relationships that it's found. I'm going to add my own. And for this one, I am going to pick, what am I going to pick? I'm going to pick order header to time dimension. And I'm going to say my order date, I missed those, is equal to my day date. So there's one. That takes care of my time dimension. I'm going to add a second one. And this one is going to also be order header to employee. And this will be sales staff code to employee code. This one should be pretty obvious why it wasn't able to pick it up automatically. Those two fields are so unrelated. Hey, don't blame it. This one it didn't pick up because there are multiple dates out there. So that could have created an ambiguous join. It could have created a improper join. So I had to specify this one, which means that if you're going to use this in this type of format, if you're going to use this connected directly to a database, you're going to need to know your data. You're going to need to have a data map available. You're going to need to know what you're looking for and what you're looking at. Okay. All right, now that we've got that, I can also add filters here. Because I deleted a lot of the language fields, I am going to build a filter. And I am going to build a filter on product language. And I'm going to say that my product language is equal to EN. So this way I won't get any weird join issues. I won't get additional. There's actually 17 different languages in here. I'm only going to get English. For the sake of this demo, I'm going to add a second filter. And this one is going to be on time dimension. And I'm going to filter this for a single year. One of the questions that I briefly saw came through was, can we have prompts? Can we have parameters? Here is where I can define these as parameters if I wanted to. So I can set this up as a parameterized value. Okay. All right, if I did everything right, I should not get an error this time. when I hit next, everybody got their fingers crossed for me? Here we go. Boop. Because I picked table or matrix, it now says, okay, how do you want to arrange these fields? How do you want things to look? Cool. This is a matter of dragging and dropping. And I'm going to take my order method, and I'm going to take my product line and my product type, and there's the rows of my report. And for the columns, I'm going to do month end. What we're going to create here is a monthly report for each of the order methods based on the year 2012. And currently, I only have a few measures in here, and I'm going to bring over quantity. That's pretty straightforward. It very much is. Comment was made that this is pivot table stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is now giving me a preview, and it's asking me to define my totals and my layouts. I would like to see some nice subtotals, so I'm going to make it indented with subtotals like this, and I'm going to allow it to expand and collapse. This is our final part of the wizard. And there we go. Woo, look at how exciting that is, gang. But this isn't about excitement. This is about meeting business needs. And that's what this is going to let us do. It's going to let us meet business needs. Okay? What we have to do from here is clean it up. Right now, it's not something that we could distribute. So we're going to clean this up. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a header. I'm going to go to the Insert tab. I'm going to add a header. I'm going to take this title box, and I'm going to drag it up to the header. Yeah, that's all. 2012 monthly report. At this point, I could see how my report is doing. If I go back to home, I can run this. And this is going to show me what it's going to look like on screen. And look at that. Not bad, but definitely not pixel perfect yet. We need to format our numbers. We need to line columns up. Most importantly, I think everybody can see it. Last time I checked, look, I know it is March 393rd, but last time I checked, April did not start the year. So we're going to have to fix things like that. The cool thing, look at that. Ooh, I can expand it out. So earlier I said these are not interactive. They're interactive when used on screen. Okay. Let's go back to design mode. And let's fix that sorting issue first. So here I'm going to take this monthly end field. I'm going to go to the group properties. And under the group properties, I have some things I can change. I could rename that, which would probably be a good thing to do. Tell it how to group on it. I can also create page breaks. There's the one we want. I'll come back to that in a second. I can show or hide things. Where would I want to use a show or hide? That's what's going on here. Whether or not when I run this these are automatically expanded or not. Product line EN and product type are actually currently set to hide, so that when I run this, don't see them initially. I can add more filters. I can add in variables. I can even add in recursive parents or document maps based on functions. Look at all these cool functions. Ooh. Well, because it's 237, we're going to go with something simple. I'm going to sort. And I just happen to have month number. So I'm going to sort by another column. I'm going to sort month EN by month number. And there we go. Now I can continue to enhance this by adding in different things like changing the colors, changing the font, and all of that is here under the properties. So if I wanted to, for example, to add a background color to that header, very easy. Everything is here under properties, padding, border colors, etc. Okay. Someone earlier asked if we could change and add page numbers. Absolutely. There are built-in fields that you can add. Take a look at those built-in fields. Execution time, which we already see on here. Language, overall page number, overall total pages, the page number itself, page name, etc. Okay. Let me pause for a second to answer one specific question from Rita about yes, Power BI Builder is different from Power BI Desktop. Power BI Builder, again, is its own standalone downloadable product. It is not the same tool. It's not accessible through there. It is started and run as its own product. Okay. And I think that was important enough for everybody to hear again that this is a separate one. Okay. All right. So I'm going to add this. I'm going to add page number on here. Look at that. And oh, look, I can line it up with execution time. One thing I can also do is change the size of this canvas if I want to add more, if I want to add additional stuff, if I want to move things over. So now I could move this over. Again, I'm going to keep it lined up. I could center this if I wanted to. And then I can add more data. One thing I do want to do before I go any further is I want to kind of line these things up. A lot of control clicking. Get used to it. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to center that. And I'm going to take a quick preview. Okay. Looking better. At least I've got my things in the right order now. Center those two. Okay. Everything will be lined up. What if I need more fields? What if I need a field that is not in here? Yes, I can create calculations. So I can create my own fields. If I go to my data set, there's everything that I brought in. And if I right click that, I can add a calculated field. And I can create a new calculated field, which I'm going to call revenue. And I'm going to use the functions. I'm going to use fields from my data set. And I will bring over, as I scroll through this, quantity times unit sale price. Just like that. So now I've got a new field in here. Note that I could also delete more from here. And again, I could change the query if I wanted to, change the fields. I could turn on and off case sensitivity, add more filters, add parameters. All that stuff can be done, stuff that I did in the wizard. There's my revenue. Ta-da! And I'm going to add this as a new field. So I am going to click on this box right here. Got to click in just the right place. And I am going to insert a column inside the group to the left. The group in this case is month EN. So month EN will span my new value. I'm going to drop revenue in. Then I'm going to take it. Come on. And I am going to paste it into here. Set that one as bold. Make sure I get that right. And before I go any further to answer one of the questions that did come through, yes, we can format numeric and currency formats. So I could set this to currency, okay, use the comma, use the dollar sign, etc. And I can go ahead and I can format my quantity, set it to number, make sure it's using a comma, fix those labels, and let's take a look at what I got now. What'd I do? Uh-oh. Did I pick the wrong field in there? Somebody did not yeah, that's looking right. Fields, quantity, value. How am I getting that? Should just be that. Yep. Let's try that. All right. So, don't you love when the things don't go wrong here? Yeah, I just did this the other day and everything worked beautifully. Of course it did. So you know what? Let's try rebuilding that real quick. Calculated field, revenue. Okay. So far so good. Fields. And I want quantity times unit sale price. Let's see if it, let's make sure we don't have an invalid one in here. So I'm going to blow this one out real quick. We'll drag that back in. Everybody cross your fingers that it likes me this time. I'm going to make sure it's formatted correctly. Make sure it's centered. All right, here we go again. There we go. So this is doing everything locally, mind you. I do have a pretty, excuse me, a pretty decent machine. And look at that. So what would be left to do? Things like centering the title, maybe moving the page numbers over, need to add borders, because you notice that I don't have borders on that new field that I added. So really all that would be left here is some aesthetic type fixes, cleaning things up, getting it ready for distribution. For the last part of the demo, now that we have all of our components on here, we've got everything laid out the way we want, we've got all of our different fields, we're going to go ahead and we're going to publish this. Now, to publish, you do need a premium service and you need a premium per user license. Workspaces that you can publish to will be designated with this little diamond icon. So I'm going to go ahead and publish it to the PBI training demo folder. I'm going to give it a name, 2012 monthly sales report. And it'll be published. So now, if I go to my Power BI app site, if I go to my service site, and here I am in that workspace, there it is. There's my published report, which can now be shared and looked at. In this particular case, I can't go ahead and run it because the source data for this is not associated to the workspace. But if I had that source data here, if I had a connection on my service, I'd be able to run this report. That about wraps up everything we've got here for the demos. I hope everybody enjoyed this. I'm going to hand it back to you, Mike.
Great, thanks, Patrick.
I'm going to
jump over to the slides, Patrick.
Got it.
So how can we help you out at Senturus here? We can help you move Power BI beyond the desktop. And by the way, stick around. We've got just a few slides here, and then we'll get to the substantial quantity of questions here that we have at the end. So if you're looking to bring about automation, you want enterprise accuracy, speed, and shareable dashboard reporting, we can help you achieve successful self-service analytics, transitioning you from desktop to a scalable Power BI solution with enterprise class performance. A little bit about us here at Senturus. We concentrate our expertise on business intelligence with a depth of knowledge across the entire BI stack. Our clients know us for providing clarity from the chaos of complex business requirements, disparate data sources, and constantly moving targets. We have made a name for ourselves because of our strength at bridging the gap between IT and the business users. We deliver solutions that give you access to reliable, analysis-ready data across the organization, so you can quickly and easily get answers at the point of impact, the decisions you make, and the actions you take. Our consultants are leading experts in the field of analytics with years of pragmatic, real-world expertise and experience advancing the state of the art. We're so confident in our team and our methodology that we back our projects with a 100% money-back guarantee that is unique in the industry. And we've been doing this for a long time. We've been solely focused on business intelligence for over 2 decades now. We work across the spectrum from Fortune 500 all the way to the mid-market, solving business problems across virtually every industry and functional area, including the Office of Finance, Sales and Marketing, Manufacturing, Operations, HR, and IT. Our team is both large enough to meet all of your analytics needs, yet small enough to provide personalized attention. If you're interested in joining us, we are presently hiring. You can see a list of positions here: Senior Microsoft BI Architect, Senior BI Architect Project Manager, Senior Azure Architect, Modern Analytics Solution Architect, ETL Developer, and more. You can get the job descriptions at Senturus.com in our careers section, or you can send your resume to jobs@Senturus.com. We invite you to continue to expand your knowledge beyond today's webinar, where you can find more resources on the Senturus website at Senturus-resources, where we have hundreds of resources from webinars on all things BI to our fabulous up-to-the-minute, easily consumable blog. Speaking of events, we have a couple of great upcoming events here. Next week, we'll be doing a webinar on the Senturus Analytics Connector, allowing you to easily connect your Power BI and Tableau to your Cognos packages and data modules. And then on June 10th, we'll be doing how to successfully implement self-service analytics, discussing agile governed self-service BI with a focus on Cognos Analytics. Finally, we'd be remiss if we didn't discuss our great training resources led by great trainers like Patrick. We offer training in the 3 key platforms that we support: Microsoft Power BI, IBM Cognos Analytics, and Tableau. We are ideal for organizations that are running multiple platforms or those that might be moving from one of those to another. And we offer all the different modalities, tailored group sessions, small group mentoring, instructor-led online courses, and self-paced e-learning that we can mix and match and organized in such a way that that is optimized for your organization's needs. And Senturus provides hundreds of additional free resources on our website. As you can see here, everything from product reviews to our blog to upcoming events. We've been committed to sharing our BI expertise for more than a decade. So now we've reached the Q&A section. We got about 7 minutes left here. There were a lot of different questions up there. Did you have any you wanted to sort of pick out of there, Patrick, or?
Well, so one thing, Debbie, I think that your question, you may have just seen the answer to that. Will the Senturus connector work? We are having that presentation on that upcoming. Mike, what was the date on that again? Do you remember?
I'm sorry, which one?
The Senturus Power BI connector.
Yes, that's just next week.
Okay, so that takes care of that question. Another one, Power Report Builder is a free download and free to use. Yes, it is. But again, remember the limitation is on publishing. All right, what else we got? I am not aware of adding templates at this point. There was a question about templates and putting one on each page. So there's a question about bursting page breaks and parameters. So page breaks and parameters, yes, they are absolutely available. Let's see, we talked about the licensing. So yes. The question is anything possible without a license? Sure. I could do everything I've done today, and I could go ahead and I could export this out as it is. You know, I could run this and I could print it. I could export it without having to publish it. So as soon as this decides to run, I can hit this export button. While that's doing, when do you use a list? Well, I would use a list depending upon what I'm trying to deliver, right? In this particular case, I wanted something that was a matrix, so I chose that. If I had just chosen a table, I could have had all of this going down the rows, and I could have expanded in and out on month as well. But as you can see, just with this product, you all saw that I was unable to publish today. So I can still export it. There's still, that question was from Sarah. Hopefully, Sarah, that answers that yeah, there's still plenty you can do without having to publish it. It is a standalone product, and I could use it like this. Okay?
But you can't open the output from this you could not open in Power BI Desktop. That was one of the questions, because they are different formats.
That is correct. They are different. And look, going back to what I said originally, things for distribution: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, CSV, XML. The question just came in. You can set subscriptions on this. You absolutely can, assuming you do have the right on-prem licensing. So yes. And when I say publish, I'm publishing it to my BI world, my BI report server. So the Senturus Power BI service that we have set up, this is where I'm attempting to publish it. So this way it would be available for other folks to look at and use. And at that, it's 2:57. So Mike, I think we got
There's a question about if you can publish this to an on-prem report server, and I believe that is possible.
I believe that is possible as well. Did I miss anything else of significance?
No, I think that covers the majority of it, other than kind of specific functionality questions. So if we missed any of these, we will circle back and we'll publish that response document up to the Senturus site, along with the text for today's presentation and a video of today's webinar. It takes a little while because we do some editing to make it ready.
Mike, you're breaking up a little bit.
If you want to get to the last slide, I'm going to go to the slide, Patrick.
So that's what I got. That's the last one for me. Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, Patrick, our presenter. And please reach out to us. You can see at the bottom there, we have our info@senturus.com email. We have a 888 number if you still use a phone. And thank you all for joining us on this Knowledge Series event. We look forward to being on an upcoming event. Thanks and have a great rest of your day.